When writing for Times leaders of the 20th century, Edmund Morris put it best. They don't hold White House lunches the way they used to at the beginning of the century. In 1907, for example, the guest list was as follows: a Nobel Prize winner, a physical culturist, a naval historian, a biographer, an essayist, a paleontologist, a taxidermist, a field naturalist, a conservationist, a big game hunter, an editor, a critic, a ranchman, an orator, a country squire, a civil service reformer, the governor of New York, the ranking expert on big game mammals in North America, and the President of the United States. All these men were named Theodore Roosevelt. Elected as our 26th President of the United States, Roosevelt is known as a president who served primarily on behalf of the people. He was president that can easily be compared with popularity and stature alongside other famous presidents such as Washington or Lincoln. Roosevelt can be described as boisterous, powerful, colorful, and truly a president of the people. First, we'll discuss Roosevelt's childhood. Roosevelt was born into a prosperous family in 1858. Growing up, Roosevelt was described as a delicate youth, which he later had a desire to overcome. His early writings showed a mourning of the cutting down of a tree, as noted by the Columbia Encyclopedia. He later becomes the first conservationist president, which may have been linked to his childhood. Roosevelt attended Harvard University as a young man. He later studied law at Columbia. After this, he began his political career. Roosevelt became a member of the Republican Party. However, during his first loss at running for office, he became disheartened. It was also during this time that his wife passed away. His mother also passed away during the same year. With his election loss and close family deaths, Theodore decided to retire to his ranch for the next 2 years. Now we'll look at Theodore's comeback and re-entrance into government. His passion for politics returns. He remarries and has 5 children. He then becomes the leader of the New York City Police Board. After this, he becomes Assistant Secretary to the Navy. It was during this time that he begins to demonstrate his prime objective of interest in American gains. As an example, he pushes for America to become involved in Spain's war. He develops the Rough Riders regime and became a war hero during the Cuban-American War by charging with his men in battle up Kettle Hill. Roosevelt later became governor of New York after the Cuban-American War. While governor, Roosevelt ran for vice president. Roosevelt was elected vice president under President McKinley. McKinley was assassinated after a few short months, making Roosevelt president. Roosevelt excelled in leadership and captivated audiences everywhere with his powerful speeches. He worked diligently and called himself a president of the people. He coined the term, "speak softly and carry a big stick," meaning to dictate with intelligence, but let it be known you are a force to be reckoned with if necessary. This is as noted by the Encyclopedia of American Studies. Now we'll discuss Roosevelt's accomplishments as a president. He served an 8-year term, and many of those accomplishments were: he assisted Colombians with gaining their freedom in exchange for land to build the Panama Canal. He won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1906 for bringing an end to the Russo-Japanese War. He broke racial barriers by inviting African Americans to the White House for dinner for the first time. He created the Sherman Antitrust Act to break up big business monopolies to give smaller businesses an advantage so they could grow. He helped the introduction of the U.S. Meat Inspection and Pure Food and Drug Act. As America's first conservational president, he dedicated large sections of America's lands to create national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. Now we will discuss Roosevelt's final years. Roosevelt's final years remained dedicated to what he believed in. He retired from presidency and began a safari in Africa. He later returned and attempted to run for president again. However, he was too late to enter in a bid. So he created his own party called the Bull Moose Party. The Bull Moose Party campaign again was focused on the people and against big business. The election eventually went to the Democrats though, and Woodrow Wilson was elected president. After the election, Roosevelt continued as liberal Republican and a writer. It is noted that Roosevelt wrote an estimated 150,000 letters during his lifetime. He also read 3 books daily. Theodore Roosevelt died in his sleep on January 16, 1919. At Roosevelt's funeral, family friend Edith Wharton noted him by saying, "He was alive at all points, so gifted with rare faculty, and living intensely in every moment of his life." Roosevelt's passing on January 6, 1919 truly marked a turning point for America for which a great leader and individual was lost. During his life, Teddy Roosevelt created a path of vision for those ahead to follow and showed many for future generations just being what a truly great leader really is.